Environmental pollution. One of Australia's biggest problems, in my opinion. It's been creeping up on us these past few decades, and the people of Australia haven't been doing enough for what it's worth. Environmental pollution, although not talked about, it's a very severe issue just under global warming, because environmental pollution only affects those countries that are negligent. Environmental pollution is basically the build-up of all of these chemicals, either land, in water or air, and these just disrupt habitats. It disrupts the quality of the air, so it makes it harder to breathe, and it just makes the earth a more unlivable place, even though it was perfectly fine before we came. So I will be explaining environmental pollution, not going all the way deep, but just enlightening you so you can understand it more and the issues that environmental pollution will in fact cause if it continues. Environmental pollution is a problem that has been rising recently, simply due to the fact that people just don't care. Of course, the councils try. They want you to put all your food into this organic bin so it can compost. They want you to put all of your rubbish into one bin. They want to put all your recyclables in another. But this isn't working, at least in Australia. It's simply due to the fact that people haven't been taught this, and they aren't restricted enough to actually care. For instance, in Singapore, they made people really care about not having any chewing gum because they just restricted it. Now, I'm not saying we should restrict having any kind of waste, but it's simply what I'm trying to say. Simply, what we need to do is have a way to get the people involved with waste management. We want them to think of it not as a chore to recycle and put into the other bin. We want them to think of it as necessary for us to prosper. And I feel like there's no other way besides going to the root, the people, and telling them why they should care. Because after all, it's all up to them and how they want to handle it, if they want to recycle or not. And if they don't plan to, if they don't want to take the actions, then we aren't going to live Earth to the fullest, and we will succumb to the problems that we've made. First one to come will be global warming, then environmental pollution, and then maybe something with AI. If we don't solve these problems first, then how will we be sure that they don't arise? And this one's very simple, because some other countries, notably Japan, have been able to seriously prevent the pollution issues compared to other countries. For instance, Vietnam. So this is the root. I'll be talking about the three areas of pollution: land, water, and air. So with land pollution, it's mainly just with all the landfills because of all the rubbish that we make. So when you have a burger, like the wrap that goes in, like any kind of I'd have to say decomposable or something that will, like anything that's able to decompose within a reasonable amount of time, even that's months, years. It doesn't have to be like food, even though you should be putting that into your green bin if you're able to. But basically, it's anything that can be decomposed in a reasonable amount of time. And some of this is really bad for the environment, such as plastics, because they're able to survive and not decompose for around 1,000 years. And this is extremely bad for us because it'll just be around and we're just making more and more and more, and we won't be able to keep up unless we learn from countries like Japan. So what Japan is doing, when I was there, with the rubbish that you have, like everything besides bottles that are recyclable and cardboard, you just put them into this bin, and instead of going to landfills, instead of wasting all of that space that they could for apartments in the denser cities like Tokyo, they burn it, which at face value might not seem like the best thing, but when you also factor in that we're trying to switch to electric in the world, then this deficit of having greenhouse gases from our waste will kind of be counteracted as we stop climate change, as we find a way to mitigate our factories as is and switch to electric for all our cars and like our food making and stuff. So that way, us burning all the rubbish that we aren't able to dispose of otherwise will actually have value and won't hindrance us. So yeah, that's kind of what they're doing, because global warming, I believe everything that we've actually got so far for global warming, like all of our factories and food and stuff, that is so much, it's producing so much greenhouse gases compared to how much burning our waste would, that it's a very viable method. That's why Japan's been doing it. So that's a solution that we could implement for land pollution, just burning our waste, so long as we also switch to electric for all of our stuff that doesn't need to be burned and disposed of in some way. And next route, water pollution. Basically, as all this pollution's coming, all these plastics and stuff, after they get onto your body, either from like contacts and stuff, or if they get like caught by like wind, they get thrown into the ocean, and now bam, it's full of microplastics. You can't see them, but it's everywhere. And there's even full like disposers, like I believe there's a place in like the Southern Pacific where currents bring all the rubbish, and there's just like a whole mass, like a couple tens of kilometers of just rubbish, and it's very, very sad that is what happened. But it's just, water pollution is just going to stay there, and if we don't do anything, we're screwed. Going back at it, air pollution. Well, not back at it, but you know what I mean. I'd say this is not that big of a deal, simply because air pollution focuses on the toxicity of the air, and that, although would be a big deal, it's not as much as land pollution. It's because you can still breathe and everything works fine, so the quality of the air isn't really that big of an issue. Yet, I think air pollution has the chance to become the worst one, because you will not be able to breathe if it gets that bad. It'll be like Venus. And that's why I think it's the second water method. But air pollution has the potential. Like, as of now, water second, air third, but just for potential, air a lot higher. So yeah, that's why I think air pollution second, and it'll affect like the dense countries. For instance, in Vietnam, the air pollution there's really bad, and you can compare it like the Blue Mountains, pristine air, to Sydney. Kind of alright. You can smell like the gasoline a little bit, but it's kind of alright for Sydney. Then Vietnam, it's a lot worse. So it really affects the dense countries that have like a lot of factories and not that much land. So yeah, that's why I'd say it has a lot of potential. But as of now, third rate. Future, it could go up to second or first, depending if land pollution somehow gets worse. But as of now, the trajectory, air pollution is going to go a lot higher in the future years. And lastly, the importance. Basically, why it's important to address all these and why we should start action. The main reason is just so we can have a hope that the youth, by us informing the youth, they will hopefully find a way to solve this, and it will give us salvation and recovery, because there's no other way we can do this. We won't have enough time to solve all three unless we have most of the scientists working on this, cracking at this, end global warming. That way they're gonna all be solved simultaneously, because these are the four biggest issues: global warming, land, air, water, and yeah, these are just the big four. And if we start now, we'll be able to save it. We'll be able to restore our planet, because Earth is our only planet. And if we don't, then what are we doing living here at that point? We may as well just be animals, or better than that. Humans were given a brain for a reason, so we should use this to solve pollution, to solve global warming, and we can restore Earth to what it's supposed to be, and we can upgrade it and make it better than what it was supposed to be. So I have to cut this video short. Thank you for your time, for me explaining all this, and I hope to see you for another one of these video essays.